had that feeling that unique kind of paralysis you get when you look at the sheer scale of the world's
I mean,
problems.
things like climate change, social issues.
Exactly. Or even just the information overload. And
Yeah.
you conclude that anything you do, any personal effort is going to be so small, so silent that it's just meaningless. It just gets swallowed.
That exact feeling is the starting point for the conceptual model we're getting into today. Our sources call it a psychograph.
A psychograph, so like a visual map of your internal state.
Precisely. A map that diagnoses this pervasive modern exhaustion. And it gives it a name, a really powerful one: chronic spiritual erosion.
Chronic spiritual erosion. Wow. That suggests a really slow, steady weathering, a loss of internal ground.
And it doesn't stop there. The sources lay out the ultimate prognosis if you don't address it. It culminates in something they call spiritual osteoporosis.
Okay, that's terrifying because osteoporosis is about the bones becoming brittle, hollow.
It's a genius metaphor, isn't it? It takes this abstract idea of burnout and maps it onto a physical structure. It forces you to see that neglecting your inner world leads to a real structural fragility.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack this whole visual narrative, this blueprint. We want to show you why this model says that the smallest, most disciplined personal acts are actually the most profound.
Right. We're looking at the core tension here. Passive dissolution versus active resistance.
Right.
All set against a world that is, by its nature, trending towards entropy.
We're going to explore the mechanics of that collapse and also the methodology for survival to show how the quiet courage of a single step might be the highest form of agency you can claim.
So let's start by stepping onto this terrain, this landscape of decline.
When the sources set the scene, it's interesting. They don't describe a cliff or a chasm. It's a vast, gentle slope made of this crumbling, ash-colored earth and sand.
And it's silently dissolving.
Right. What does that gentle slope tell us?
It tells us that spiritual decay is rarely this big, dramatic event. It's not a catastrophe that wakes you up.
It's insidious.
It's insidious. It's comfortable. It's so gradual, you don't even realize you're sliding down until trying to stop feels, well, almost impossible. The gentleness is the entire trap.
And that color, the ash-colored earth, it just screams exhaustion. It's a landscape of residue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ash is what's left after burnout. It's what remains when all the vitality has been consumed, when everything that could burn has burned. You're not standing on fertile soil anymore.
You're standing on the, what do they call it? The calcified remains of past vitality.
Yes. It's a land that can't support growth because all the essential nutrients are gone.
And that connects directly to the core metaphor. We go from the surface, the ash, to the structure itself. Spiritual osteoporosis. The ground is literally cracking like brittle bone.
This is where the source material gets so precise. The ground exhibits something called cancellous porosity.
Okay, break that down.
If you look at, say, bone under a microscope or even sun-bleached coral, it's not solid. It's a spongy, lattice-like structure.
Yeah.
It's full of these tiny, porous holes.
So it's essentially been hollowed out, even if the surface looks intact from a distance.
Precisely. That texture is a visualization of internal emptiness. It's what it feels like to lose your spiritual density, your substance. You feel hollowed out because all the essential stuff has been leached away by stress, by neglect.
And that hollowness is what leads to failure. The sources talk about microfractures everywhere, damage that it accumulates quietly.
Totally unnoticed.
Until one small wrong move causes a total system-wide collapse. It's a huge warning that the small, ongoing stresses are the things that actually get you in the end.
And this weak structure, this porous ground, it sets the stage for the real danger here.
Yeah.
What the model calls the seduction of entropy.
Okay.
Because the model includes these specific artifacts that are sinking into the ground, illustrating that downhill path, the path the figure has to reject.
And this is where it gets really practical, right? This seductive downward pull is defined by two objects sinking into the earth. The first one is the decaying armchair.
The armchair is the symbol of passive comfort. It's the atrophy that comes from always choosing ease, always taking the path of least resistance. And the sources are really blunt about this. Staying in that chair, even when it feels good, it's a form of rotting.
Wow. So the illusion of safety is actually speeding up your own decay.
It is. I think we all have a version of that armchair, a routine that's just too comfortable, too optimized for distraction.
Absolutely. And right next to it is its digital twin, the glowing smartphone. The sources say it's heavy with data, but light on meaning.
And it emits this cold, false light. It's the perfect distraction. It's the thing that makes the slow, quiet erosion feel tolerable because you forget you're even sinking.
So you have the porous ground and you have these objects, comfort and distraction, pulling you down. But then there's this critical, almost terrifying lesson about the physics of this place. The ground is thixotropic.
This is the brutal mechanical rule of this entire psychograph. Thixotropic material. It seems solid, but it starts to liquefy under static pressure.
Wait, hold on. So if you just stand still.
It turns to quicksand beneath you.
So stopping isn't rest. Stopping is actively participating in your own collapse. That's a huge reframing of how we think about rest and burnout.
That is, the sources state the rule with total clarity. The ground cannot bear the weight of static objects, which gives us the iron law of the entire model. Stasis is death. Movement is survival.
You can't choose comfort and expect your foundation to hold.
You're just accelerating the process of being swallowed.
But that sounds exhausting. I mean, if you always have to be moving, how is this quiet daily courage thing sustainable? Especially when the goal, climbing that hill, seems so massive and far away.
That's the exact problem the model is built to solve. It addresses it through the figure's one pivotal action. Resistance doesn't start with some grand 5-year plan. It begins with the turn.
The turn. So it's not just moving, it's a choice. An explicit existential choice.
It's a complete renunciation. It's the moment you reject the armchair, you toss aside the phone's false light, and you turn your body and your attention to the harder path. The upward path. The path of survival.
So once the figure has made that turn, what does active resistance actually look like on this brittle, ashy ground? It can't be some heroic sprint, right? The ground would just collapse.
No, not at all. It's defined as quiet daily courage. And it's a methodology. It's a discipline. It's all about the single, deliberate step upward.
And that word deliberate feels really important there. Why deliberate? Why not just impulsive?
Because the ground is so fragile. Remember, it's crumbling earth and brittle bone.
Yeah.
Every single step is a risk. You have to carefully, deliberately test the ground for stability before you commit your full weight.
It requires total focus. Total presence.
All of it.
Yeah.
This whole process, this micro-movement against macro-erosion, that is the survival behavior. You're not wasting energy worrying about the summit way off in the distance. You are dedicating 100% of your resources to securing the next immediate foothold.
It shrinks the impossible task of, fixing everything down to the possible task of just managing 1 square inch of ground. Which brings us to the light. The most powerful symbol of agency in the whole thing.
That small, humble lantern. It's the embodiment of self-controlled agency. It's the figure's own will, their life force, made visible as a focused beam of light.
And it's carried, not just found. It's generated by the effort.
Exactly. And the sources give us 3 distinct light sources, and their color temperatures, in Kelvin, are set up to create this incredible emotional contrast.
Right. This is what makes the visual argument so powerful.
Okay, so first you have the light of the environment itself. The scene is set in that deep, cold twilight, which can be 10,000 Kelvin or more.
The blue hour.
The blue hour. It's cold, it's indifferent, it's the light of the universe's mechanical entropy. It truly does not care if you make it or not.
Okay, then light source number 2, the false beacon, the sinking phone. That's a cold white light, maybe around 6,500 Kelvin.
And that light is hollow. It's electronic, it's distracting, it promises you something, connection, information, but it's actively pulling you down into the ground. It's the color of detachment.
And finally, the anchor, the lantern. That's a steady, warm amber light, only about 1,500 to 2,000 Kelvin.
And that warmth is everything. It is volitional, it is focused, it is real. Its warmth is a violent contrast to the cold indifference of the abyss and the sterile distraction of the phone.
The entire composition is just screaming, look at the warm light. That is the only thing that's real, the only thing you can trust.
But here's the most important insight about that light, about agency itself. It has a severe limitation. The lantern only illuminates the immediate step ahead.
So it ties directly back to quiet daily courage.
Yes. Courage is local. It's immediate. We paralyze ourselves thinking we need this grand vision, We need to see the castle on the hill or the sunrise at the end before we can even start.
But this model says that vision is actually a distraction.
It is. You only need enough light to see and confirm the stability of the next stone. If you're staring at the summit, you take your eye off the precarious step you're about to take, and that's when you sink.
Aspiration becomes paralysis.
Exactly. The survival model demands your focus right here, right now, on the ground beneath your feet.
And this whole idea that this one focused step is enough to defy the entire collapse is basically proven by the composition itself, by the steel-yard balance principle.
Right. Think of the visual as a scale. On one side, you have this vast, crushing weight, the thick fog, the endless slope, the sinking armchair and phone. That's the force of entropy.
The consuming force.
And on the other side of the scale, the only thing balancing all of that immense weight is the figure's tiny upward-pointing vector, that single, deliberate step.
It's a visual proof. The composition shows that even though the force is small, its direction and its will give it equal weight against that massive negative force.
It proves the significance of the small force against the massive consuming force.
So if we pull all this together for you, the learner, this deep dive is showing us that individual agency in this kind of dissolving world, it's not about changing the global trend. I mean, that's usually impossible.
It's about something much more focused, much more achievable. It's about refusing to participate in the collapse. Your survival is defined by this continuous, small, deliberate act of opposition.
You're just not going along with the easy slide down.
And that leads to the perfect final analogy the sources give us. We are all basically inside a giant sand timer, and the sand is falling fast. The goal is not to stop the sand from falling.
The macro task is impossible.
It's impossible. No. The goal is to continuously and deliberately pick up and place the next single grain of sand that offers you a firm footing. You transform the crisis from something you have to stop to a series of quantifiable achievements.
The achievement of just standing steady, one tiny deliberate placement at a time.
So, since this whole model establishes that iron law, that stasis is death and comfort accelerates atrophy, we have to ask you, what is the emotional or maybe physical equivalent of that comfortable, decaying armchair in your life?
What is that one thing that's applying static pressure to your foundation right now? What is the one small, deliberate step, the next grain of sand you can take right now to make your own turn and reclaim your footing using only the light you generate?
You don't need to see the summit, you just need to see the next stone.
Go confirm that next stone.